On the 26th of April 2019, Formula E finally launched its first ever official game, and whilst it wasn't quite what a lot of people, including myself, was expecting, it was a game changer. Formula E doing what Formula E does all the time and tries to push boundaries. This is not your bog standard game, it's not even a console or PC game. No, they went the route of a mobile game, and in this review I'm going to be taking a look at if the game's any good or not, what kind of things I would like to see the game improve upon later down the line in future updates, and whether I still feel they need to do a console game. Now don't get me wrong, I've not played this game for hours and hours and hours because it's a mobile game and they're not really my general cup of tea. However, I've played plenty of racing games in my lifetime, and I'm hoping my unique perspective as a Formula E fan will give you a good insight on the brand new game. Formula E Virtually Live is the brand new mobile game produced by Formula E. This is quite a big shock in my opinion because personally I thought it was perfect timing for the company, for the motorsport series, to produce a console game with the brand new Season 5 cars. It was looking like not only had viewership in the sport tripled, we also seemed to have a bit of a buzz around a potential game. I even did a video a few months back talking about a game. People seem to love the idea, and I mentioned how for a lot of people in this generation, it's actually the Formula 1 games that got them into Formula 1. So it only made sense that a Formula E game hopefully would bring people into Formula E. EA had the license. Real Racing 3 was what traditionally Formula E cars have been put on. However, Formula E cars are also a staple of the Forza franchise, the Forza Motorsport games in particular. So when it was announced that this game was going to be just on mobile, and when I mean just on mobile, I mean not even a PC version is available for this game, I was disappointed for sure, but I was also really surprised because I think they're missing a huge market. However, when it was also announced that this wasn't going to be your typical racing game, I could kind of understand a little bit where potentially they were coming from. However, I still think they need to be designing, trying to work on a game for the future, considering as well what a big step Formula 1 looks like they're going to be doing with their game for 2019. But the focus is on Virtually Live. Like I just mentioned, this isn't quite your typical racing game. The whole ethos around this game is that you're racing in real time, as they put it, with the drivers on the grid. So what this game actually gives you the option to do is when an E-prix is actually taking place, you can drive alongside the drivers. Each driver in their car has a GPS tracker, and so technically you're in the race with them. It's a little bit unique. We'll put it that way. It's for sure unique, and it's what the game is trying to force you to do. Now, as you can see on screen as well, there's plenty of other events. There's usually about 3 events at one given time that you can do when they go live. You've got Marrakesh, Berlin, Chile and New York available at the moment. However, you can't partake in all of them because you've got to have specific cars and specific level cars, and you can also see what races are coming up. So there's certain tracks I particularly quite like on the game and try and look out for, and there's certain other tracks I'm not so good at and I try and miss. As mentioned, you need particular cars for particular circuits, and when they go through the rotation they change. It's not track specific, but you get the Gen 2 car, you get the Gen 1 car. The Gen 1 car, you can't upgrade. That's just sort of in there, almost as a little gimmick, if you will. And then for the live races, you're given an Audi, a Lucas di Grassi Audi that you can use for the race. Your Gen 2 car, generally, this one on screen now, is the one that you're going to be focusing on because it's the one that you can upgrade. However, the upgrades I've put on the car haven't really made too much of a major difference. But the option is there if players want to do that. And I would like to disclose as well, I've not played the game all that much, so I've not put too many additions onto my car as of yet. I think I'm about 3 bars in for most of them. However, as you can see, it's a pain to upgrade the car because you've got to be certain levels, so it's a lot of grinding going on in this game, which isn't ideal. You've got to pump a lot of hours in to really get anywhere with upgrades, which I think is a bit of a shame. And you can see with customization as well, that's also a bit of a bummer. 2,000 of these coins it costs, or generally about 2,000 coins, to change the design of your Gen 1 or Gen 2 car. How do you get these coins? Microtransactions, and it's the exact same thing. I mean, some of them look, I mean, this design here, the Galaxy design, looks absolutely spicy. However, if you want to get an actual Formula E car, they also cost 2,000 coins, and they're only certain drivers. As you can see, the HWA is only Gary Paffett. The Jaguar is actually Nelson Piquet Jr. But you can see on screen 2,000 coins is how much one of those cars worth. And if you want to buy that in just one purchase, you've got to spend $23.99. You can do it in two separate purchases, but that still is going to set you back £14.98, which is a hell of a lot of money just if you want a different looking Gen 2 car. I'm megally surprised Formula E have done this, and again, I'm not too sure whether in the future they're going to add incentives that you can earn those coins, but at the moment, the only way you can do it is actually through microtransactions, which is a major disappointment for this game. As you can see on screen, jumping into a bit of actual gameplay now, we're going to try and dissect that, and the one I'm doing right now is the Rome E-prix replay. So this is the exact same thing you can do on an actual race weekend, and as you can see on screen, there's different controls you can use. I use Tilt B, where I do my own accelerating, braking and steering, which takes me a second to get readjusted to there. But I actually found in this game, if you don't take all assists off, this game holds your hand so much that it becomes almost a little bit undrivable. And actually, if I have assists on, I can't actually drive very well on this game. I had to completely turn all of them off. But already, in this gameplay, it looks very amateurish. It looks like I'm just dive-bombing everyone. But because these aren't actual AI, and they're replayed AI, they don't change their movements because you're there. Because in reality, you're not. You're just watching a replay of what the cars actually did in the Rome E-prix. So you'll see in a moment's time when the red flag comes out, that was there in real life on lap 2, the cars just stop and you can just keep going willy-nilly. So it's very bizarre. Overtaking also, the cars just block you, as you can see here. You can't just ram into the back of them, but what you can do, that was perfect timing there, is if you get alongside them, you can then go through them, but you can't go straight through the back of them. It's very strange. You are in a quicker car, and also slipstream, as you can see there, is crazy in this game. For me, it does not work at all well. You get such a speed boost by slipstreaming, it becomes almost impossible to overtake because as soon as you get behind them, you're in the back of them. And then you slow down and you can't get past them. Obviously, that's because I'm bad at the game rather than the mechanic, but I do think that needs to be sorted out a little bit because it is an absolute hyperdrive. I'm not even joking. It's an absolute hyperdrive of a slipstream system. So it's not my, as I said earlier, not my cup of tea as such, the slipstream, but it's okay. Now, the race replay that you're watching gameplay of now is one of two game modes. I'm going to swap the game mode over in a second, but for me, I just wanted to quickly mention this is almost the star-studded mode they have tried to advertise with this particular game, that they've tried to really innovate. For me, it's not really doing anything impressive. I think it's a very empty experience. You really do feel like you're on your own, as you can see some of the slipstreaming that's going on, and you can see I go right into the back of, I'm not too sure who that was there. I think it was Mitch Evans, actually, which you wouldn't have really been able to tell, and there is the red flag as well, but it's a very empty experience. You're going to see now how the cars just stop when there's a red flag, and you really do feel like you're just on your own, just driving by yourself, which is very, very strange. And the progression with this mode also is just nowhere. You can see I'm trying to just slow down to try and get some sort of interaction, but it's, yeah, you can even see my interaction with the Jaguar there. It's very strange. So this mode for me isn't my favourite, but actually the other mode that this game focuses on, the smaller modes that we just briefly went through in the menus, I actually really do enjoy. Again, this is similar to the real racing side of things where you do race against replays of the actual race. So this one now you're seeing on screen is Chile, but what this does is at the same time you race against real people, and while you can't actually see those real people you're going up against, what it actually does is keeps track of your time. So it's like a time trial. You're almost sort of seeing as I just hit every single wall in sight, and that is a thing as well. Damage is not a thing in this game as of yet, so don't think they'll be adding that one ever, I'm guessing. But I think it's quite a nice sort of competitive edge that you can have. You get a practice lap at the beginning of the session that you're just seeing me do right now. Then you get a chance before the race just to compare your times as I continue to throw it in every single wall. You can see why I'm a Grosjean fan in Formula 1. But it just is, it's that nice competitive edge which I feel is really lacking in this game, because there is no campaign. There is no quick races you can do against normal AI, which I think is why I like this game mode so much, is that there is that competitive nature that you will see in a second. However, the experience still is very hollow. You sort of do this sweeping pan through the grid. You start at the back of the grid. The actual AI, the pictures of the drivers are old pictures from previous seasons, which is a bit strange. But as you're going to see now, this is all you get really in the race. You get no sort of indication where the other drivers are in real life in terms of how far behind they are or not until a little bit deeper into the race. First laps on this game are always just complete roadblocks because you're so much quicker. There's no space, but also to pass cars, because you're not actually there, you've got to be aggressive or else you'll never get past anyone. It is very strange, and as I said, it's a fun game, but it feels like a very empty game, and I come away actually from this game happy but not content. I want more from a Formula E game, and this I feel very much is a very flash in the pan kind of game. You very rarely find a full lobby of racers. In that first week, you could easily, in this game mode that I'm in now, be in a lobby with 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, maybe even a full grid of drivers with you. This race that I'm in now, there's only 3, which isn't surprising. It's a game that once you've done all the tracks, really there's not much else to do except upgrade your Gen 2 car, which again, you have to pay microtransaction to change how it looks. So really you're just upgrading it for speed, but you've done the tracks. There's no progression system except upgrading that car, which at the moment just feels very, very empty. It's a start, but for me, there's a lot of work to go. As you can see, nailed that corner. That looked very sexy indeed. I enjoy the game, but I would say it needs a hell of a lot more. And part of me, as you can see, I've just for a second there got a glimpse of where I was in the pecking order. First, I will have you know. But for me, I'm glad this didn't come out on console, because I would have been very, very disappointed if it did. This is not the game we were all hoping for. Fingers crossed that they do some sort of mode in Forza Motorsport, the next game that comes out. I think that's Motorsport 8. For me, that would be our next biggest hope as a Formula E community, for some sort of mode, but even that isn't quite what we're after. So I'm hoping we get some sort of big game at the end of the season, potentially, but it's not looking good. And if you've played this game, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below, because the bare bones of the game I think works really, really well. It's just the execution just feels very empty, very lackluster. But hopefully you have enjoyed my review of Virtually Live, the Formula E mobile game. Let me know if you enjoy it in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoy all my continuous crashes in the gameplay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.